Okay, this is episode 3 of our podcast. This one is on the trait theory and how that interrelates with the other facets of psychology. The trait theory is pretty much based on patterns or habits of our thought, emotion, and behavior. The main person who created the trait, or well, I wouldn't say created, but pushed it into a prominent theory is Gordon Allport. He was an early pioneer in the traits perspective. He referred to traits as dispositions. He was an opponent to psychoanalysis because he felt that it was too deep and it was missing out, or it was looking for problems that might not have been there. And he wasn't big on behavioralism because he felt like it wasn't deep enough. It was inaccurate. It didn't specify on certain things. It was just broad and generalizing. Um, he felt that personality traits in general for the to be defined were just too broad, so he made 3 categories. The first category is the cardinal traits, which these traits are pretty much, I guess you could describe them as rare because they are character defining. They are the epitome of who you are. You are defined by them, and they define themselves by you. Like Jesus would he's defined by his or his charitableness. Caesar was defined by his ambitiousness, and it's such a prevalent and wide-sweeping trait that it defines your person. Um, the next is the central traits. These traits are pretty much your personality. Like it's the broad sweeping category. It is who you are. Are you intelligent? Are you bashful? Are you hyper? Excitable? Are you pretty? Are you a quick learner? Are you a slow learner? Are you a good test taker? Just everything that can be covered is pretty much covered under the central traits. And then your secondary traits are, I would consider these more specific in the way that they work because they only arise in certain situations that would be created in a certain setting. Which one could be anxiety to go speak in front of classes. It's something that doesn't affect your daily life, but it's still something that you have trouble with. It's much more specific and it doesn't have the same implications as general traits or cardinal traits. Those are the 3 traits that Gordon Allport had created. Another influential trait theorist is Raymond Cattell. He pretty much came in and he reduced the number of common traits that Gordon Allport created. He reduced them down to, I think, 171, it was 4,000, so it's a really big jump. He thinks that there was 16 key personality traits, and these 16 traits are pretty much the source of all human personality. The next person is Hans Eysenck. I think that's how to pronounce it. He was a British psychologist. He developed the 3 dimensions of personality. The first is introversion and extroversion. So it's pretty much for introversion. Are you inward thinking? Are you shy in front of other people? Are you more interested about keeping yourself entertained than entertaining others? Are you more liable to paint a picture than go on stage and give a rally speech, versus extroversion where you're more inclined to go and win a trophy and be praised by your peers? There's that's the first category, and then neuroticism and emotional stability. This one's a little more complicated. it's something that people don't really think about, but it affects them daily. Neuroticism and emotional stability are traits related to your moodiness. They're traits related to how quickly you can get upset, how well you respond under pressure. Neuroticism tends to be how quickly you'll get upset. It'll be how quickly something will set you off, how you respond to stresses, stuff like that. And obviously, emotional stability will be the latter. It'll be how you are able to deal with certain problems, how well you can cope with the stresses. Um, One thing I'd like to point out is don't think of it as in you're either one or the other. This isn't. I don't think trait perspective is designed to be like that. I would more think of it as it's a spectrum for introversion and extroversion. You're somewhere within that spectrum of both. For neuroticism and emotional stability, you're not just all. Um, you can't handle any stress. You're immediately mad about waking up in the morning, or you wake up in the morning and you're just perfect, ready to jump out of bed and save the world. It's not quite as separated like that. I think it's more of just a blend. You're a blend of both. And the last one for the three dimensions of personality is psychoticism. This is a tendency to have problems with dealing with reality. So this is really common for people with antisocial disorders. This trait is pretty much a if you have this trait, you're pretty much going to have a psychological problem. You're going to have things that you're not going to be able to deal with. It's a surefire sign that you need to have a psychologist talk to you. And the last theory of personality is the five-factor theory. The first is this is a combination of Hans and Raymond Cattell's work. They pretty much blended their two ideologies together and created this five-factor theory. The first is extroversion, which is introversion and extroversion. The second is agreeableness. The third is conscientiousness. The fourth is neuroticism, and the fifth is openness. That pretty much covers the trait perspective, and that will be the end of our third episode.